Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to the MineWarp podcast, wherever you are listening from. It's always a privilege to have people listening to the guests that I have on the podcast, and I'm looking forward to spending time this morning with Edward Murray. Edward is a successful entrepreneur with deep roots in mining and specifically spatial data, and he has a long track record of building practical technology. I hope, Edward, in our mining industry. And his current role as CEO of iGlobe has given him an opportunity to steer the company towards becoming a more integrated and globally relevant spatial data and, I think, survey technology partner. But Edward will tell us a little bit more about that later on. We've actually known each other for a bunch of years. Because our children attended school together. And so for me, it's a particular pleasure to welcome both a friend and a respected industry professional to MineWarp. Welcome to the podcast, Edward.
Thank you, Empie. Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to our discussion today. And you mentioned successful entrepreneur. For me, the word success is it doesn't have an end. It's a continuous journey. So but thank you for the introduction.
Exactly. Success is hard to define, but not failed also means successful.
Completed.
No, I think you're being overly humble, but anyway, on that topic, it would tell us a little bit more about, how did you, what did your journey look like? How did iGlobe, the company, come about, and what was that history like? And maybe start with your own personal history also.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Empie. So I'm married to my better half, and she's also one of our colleagues. And like you mentioned, we've got children that we were together in school, myself and yourself. And he's now studying in his second year, and the youngest is finishing school up this year. So that's the the family journey. And then so how did we get here? Initially, obviously, I studied software development, so obviously that helped when we started the business. And in the first couple of years, we worked mostly with consulting electrical engineers, or actually in them, and we used the Bentley platform actually quite a lot, Bentley systems, and we did a lot of electricity planning. We did also some work. I also did some work on Magic from Small World, owned by GE or General Electric at that time. And we did a lot of GIS work and planning around and with Eskom's utilities. So after that journey, we started, myself and Stanley DeToy, my business partner, we started our own company around about 2001. And that evolved through the years by supporting a lot of the municipalities and around data capture, around billing solutions, and around revenue management at the time. Then we got introduced to the mines, especially because of the CAD software, MicroStation, and especially in the survey environment. And then quickly after that, we starting to use the development to develop some solutions around mining. And then the first solution we did, one of the first few ones, was rehabilitation in the Northern Cape for a small mine there. And that mine actually won an international prize with us, and they went to Vegas. So it was a very quick turnaround and a notch that we might be on the right track. And then
absolutely.
and since then, well, we never left mining. So obviously the municipalities was moved a little bit on the back burner, and it's already focused on the mining industry. And then our company was acquired by Bentley around about 2006. And we obviously see the world. Bentley is an American company, but a global company. So we did travel quite a bit, participate in different projects globally, but still stayed in South Africa. And around about 2010, we decided, no, it's time for our own journey again. And then iGlobe was created in 2010, and we're still within iGlobe today. So we're very happy to see the world and to experience a lot of many new friends, but also happy to to then to be back in your own roots and start
Yeah.
our own company again.
Kind of come full circle again. I
Exactly.
see on your website that you do, you provide solutions for mining, both underground, open cast for municipalities, uh, green energy and environmental and tailings dam solutions and utilities and construction and oil and gas and property management, as you just said. Um, what was that a specific decision to enter into many industries, or is the solution more of a focus on a set of features and capabilities that are just so useful that they can be applied across many industries?
Yeah, exactly that, MP. I think initially we did a lot of bespoke solutions.
Mm,
So in the early years, we definitely entertained the needs. The clients had particular needs, and we built solutions around their needs.
right.
Obviously, it started, like I mentioned, in the survey. It could be in planning, or it could be in geology. Then the next client would be maybe a consulting electrical engineer that wanted particular project or data forms to capture his project in a GIS
Mm,
environment. So there was a lot of duplication that you can use in the technology. And we eventually realized when we launched the spatial data platform, or the STP, so just after, or just in the middle of COVID, basically, we
mm,
realized that this platform, the one platform, can cater for all
mm,
of them. Because to run a lot of bespoke solutions it is a bit of a nightmare. But
mm,
to focus on one platform and build on one platform and use the best of both breeds in the same
mm,
technology was definitely the way to go. And that's exactly like you said. You can use then the technology for different industries because there's a
mm,
lot of overlaps. The
mm,
ultimate is you want to get a visualization aspect through,
mhm.
or like a GIS feel to it, and that you can do with the same technology, and you apply different, obviously, data fields and matrices to get to that
Yeah.
answer.
I want to ask you something maybe before we go into a little bit more of the kinds of business problems that you solve and so on, because I really want to talk about that. Um, Companies that have taken this journey that you've just discussed, you end up with maybe install basis of customized code out there, or customized solutions that kind of sort of reuse the same code base, but you end up with many branches of the same root. And then when you make the decision to productize and then focus on as in your case the spatial data platform, um, you have to convince your customers to follow your vision. So how did that go, or how is that going? Is that a hard journey for you to bring customers along to the new platform, um, or do you find that customers see the value and grab the vision fairly easily?
I think, to be fair, I think a bit of both. I think
Mm,
by starting off your own platform and thinking this is it, this is
mm.
the best thing for everyone, that is, you will quickly fail when you realize that if you have a good idea, or you think you have a good idea, and you
Yeah.
take it to the market. I mean, the market is the most truthful or honest
Mm, mm. Judge.
judge of what is actually needed. So
Mm,
once you take that product to the market, and you do not listen long enough to your clients or to the industry, you will definitely miss the pot. So it was
mm,
very important for us that we started off the platform slow and
mm,
have some key champions in the market that you can
mm,
actually bounce this against. So listen,
mm,
Mr. Client, we've got this platform. Can you test it in your environment? Will it work? And you will
mm,
quickly then sort of get uh, led by what is needed, what
mm.
can work, and what definitely does not work. So
Yeah,
if
what looks good on paper but doesn't work on a mine.
100%, yeah. So you do spend a couple of years in developing something that is fit for industry, but is
Mm,
also fit for price and also have a value. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to create your own idea and sell it to everyone and hope everyone buys it. I think that's a
mm,
very, very tall order. It was
mm.
very
It's also
more
arrogant.
important. It's definitely, yeah, very arrogant. So if you're
Yeah.
going to listen, and we had some good champions in the market that you can listen to, and you can scrutinize your product to make sure it does what's needed, and build from there. And I think then you can create your roadmap for the
Yeah.
product. Where we are today, the roadmap is more clear. We know where we're going to the roadmap. We know who we're taking with on this journey. And then you will have different branches of industries, maybe focus on tailings. People want to focus exactly on tailings. That's a buzzword and it's needed. Or there's a focus on drone data. There's a focus on spatial data. And just make sure that everything is also fitting into your journey. And then you will have good successes.
So when mining customers, let's kind of talk mining, but you don't have to stick to mining. You can also talk about the other industries. When a new customer comes to iGlobe today, what is the actual business problem that they think they have, and maybe with your experience, what's the deeper problem that they usually don't see?
Yeah, so there's obviously from experience there's items we want to group together, or we want to fix, well, on behalf of the client, is we want to make sure that it's sustainable. Solution is sustainable, it's visualized, it's organized, it's compliant. So all those buzzwords are very relevant, because most of the users of most of the clients that do approach us will have disparate data sets, islands of information,
Yeah.
data sets that don't talk to each other, disconnected teams, and all of the above. And I don't think that's uncommon to mining. It's everywhere in any sort of a corporate environment. You find a lot of those. What makes this unique is we need to make sure, because we are a spatial company, that we can spatially organize this information and spatially give them the answer, so that it's, yes, you have your databases and you can apply your AI so for your reporting, but it's very important to spatially organize this data so that it has a life, so that it continue to have a life when the business continues. So we don't want to do a one-stop, sorry, we don't want to do a once-off
Yeah.
solution. You want to continue. So you want to be part of the life cycle of that client. You want to make sure the data lives in that environment and it continues to live and it continues to evolve. And I think then the client sees value and they trust the data and they trust the sources, so that the data can continue in a spatial framework.
So you've talked a lot about spatial data and spatial framework, which is kind of a shared background that we have both, um, and it's a term that not everyone understands. So let me ask you to clarify the terminology there a little bit. What is spatial data, and what kind of data can be spatial or should be spatial?
I think today almost everything we touch can be spatial, should be spatial, because we believe if it hasn't got an address, it doesn't exist. So it's very
Wow.
important. I mean, today you can have your typical survey and spatial data, but there's so much more. There's sensors, there's trucks running on the mine, there's weather stations, there's drone data, satellite imagery. There's so many sources of data, IoT sensors, and so forth. And all of that have a spatial location. So,
Yeah.
and obviously the mine has got a spatial location, the area of interest has got a spatial location, the mine planning has got a spatial location. So it's actually everything lives in a spatial and then in a 3D world. So then you can sort of create and you can simulate a lot of environments and a lot of situations, simulations that can happen with the information you do have versus what is currently the status quo.
And so spatial does not only mean where, but it also means in what shape, right?
Exactly. What
uh,
shape? And it can be connected to non-spatial data. You have your
yes.
Excels and your PDFs, your documents. All of that can be spatially organized in
Mm,
your platform, so that you can at
mm,
least focus on an area which you have all the spatial data for, but you can also allocate non-spatial data to that to make sure
mm.
everything lives in the same area.
And do you find that that you have to bring everything into a central database and create properties for space, or is it with modern AI and data interrogation tools, is it feasible to describe space almost as your backbone of how things are indexed, and then add documents and so on as attachments that describe things or that attach to that space, even though you don't store and organize it as data, but it is just additional data that links. How do you bridge that data that is, I almost want to say, known, and data that is just attached?
Yeah, so we definitely make use of more than one kind of database environment. You have your relational database environment where you can do exactly like you mentioned. You have your spatial data cartridge, and you can attach data or files. But we also make use of complete spatial geometry where we break down that environment and put everything in a database so that it lives in the
Okay.
database.
Yeah.
There's also open database environments we can use. So we try to make use of different technologies in terms of database to make sure that we have the quicker access, because in a software as a service business, you want to, obviously you're cloud-based and you want to scale it, and you want to make sure that it is the speed to access the data is very important to get to your information. Because I mean, no one's going to wait for a PC that's running and loading. I think it's very annoying. That's too quick, you lose a customer to access to the data. So it's very important how you structure and how you design your data, your data silos. Yeah. So it's a combination of those different data sets to get to that information.
So I don't want to go too deeply into the technical side, but thank you for that explanation, because I do think it is necessary for people to understand that we're not only talking about Google Maps here, nor are we only talking about CAD data,
Yeah.
because the one kind of is associated with 2D and the other with 3D, but it is really a spatial environment can do all of the above. Now, if we move on to your spatial data platform, why did you go the route of developing a spatial data platform as opposed to using off the shelf spatial engines that exist out there?
Yeah, so we basically we actually started with existing spatial engines that exist. So one of them was from our partner. They had a spatial engine. We built on top of that engine for a number of years. We used multiple open source kind of engines that's available, and there was limitations. And the limitations is it's either from the client side or from our side, because what we want to achieve of this was more. We wanted much more out of this engine than I can provide. And we started with like a concept of a spatial engine. We actually called it the iSpatial Viewer. That was the first name, sort of like like a R&D name, the iSpatial Viewer. And we realized we can throw a lot at this viewer. We can do 2D, 3D data, and we realized, sure, we have something here. We can use this, because it was also difficult for a number of years. We were reliant on third party, reliant on American software, Australian software, and so forth. And we just came to the conclusion that it is time that we stand on our own feet. It's time that we do not rely on all these people, because there's limitations in all of them. And all of them has got some kind of reseller agreement. They want to sell more engines. So it always comes with a different jacket,
Yeah,
And so
strings
we wanted to,
attached.
yeah, strings attached. And so we wanted to stand on our own feet. So once we realized we have a spatial viewer, and it could definitely be valuable, we then took it to the market, and one of them was a request we had to manage one of the big Northern Cape mines. It's a very big mine in Northern Cape, a very, very big, large 15 square kilometer mining area. And they have a lot of drones. And we understand the drone technology because we also own the drone environment.
Yes.
And we also understand how the hardware operates. So the request was, how can you spatially manage all this drone data, like drone traffic? And every day they've got a fleet of 20 plus drones that fly every single day for different aspects of the mine. And we started off with a spatial drone portal. That's where the name was born, was a drone portal. And we threw everything at this viewer in terms of drones technology. And it was actually fairly quickly to solve. It was actually, we were as surprised and excited as the client were. This is a winner, and it evolved from there. It quickly
I
evolved
see.
into 360 panels, and that became a complete mining spatial data platform, where it was only started off as a drone platform.
Yeah.
Because the next was in line was, can you add the metadata? Can you add this data? Can you add the
Yeah.
hexagon data? Can you add? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. And it grew extremely quickly. So
Just
I
out of
think that was.
curiosity, when you talk spatial data, one of the things that come to mind, or one of the areas that I see most, or an explosion of growth in, is gaming technology, and virtual reality kind of technology. Are you employing any of that or looking to that in future?
Yeah, especially when we also deploy developers, a lot of them are gamers. So
Oh, okay.
we actually for it, because the more they understand the gaming and the 3D environment, the quicker for them is then to adapt to the visual and the 3D world. So there's definitely a collaboration between that. Yeah, we
Okay.
definitely make use of some of those engines. So that's got a good effect for the developers to understand the 3D world, because not all of them understand mining, but they
Yes.
understand 3D. Yes.
Yes, that helps. Edward, you talked about the spatial data platform growing out of a spatial drone portal, or what did you call
Yeah,
it,
exactly that.
initially? That's a world in which there has been an explosion of technology. Let's call it, whether it's LiDAR or video, or variety of mostly LiDAR, I guess, but a variety of technologies, and then meshing and all kinds of interesting things that has to be done. Um, do you find that you have to adapt continuously to the development in that world, or do you not really, is it standards based enough that you can work with just about any kind of data that you receive?
Well, so we were one of the early adopters of the drone technology. We started in
Mm-hmm.
about 2013, before the Part 101, before the legalization started. We wanted
Yeah.
a camera on air. We wanted a camera on air to visualize some of
Mm,
these projects. And so we went through the whole 9 yards, becoming obviously a legalized operator and all those pilots. And that was needed,
mm,
because our solution is only good as the information that feeds it. So
mm,
once we understand the drone technology, what goes in the air, how does this technology interact then with your
mm,
spatial data platform, it was very important that you get the correct and accurate data from those drones.
mm.
So we
Yes.
also ended up in helping a lot of customers, early adopters, mines.
Mm,
Survey departments went over to everyone thinking they're going to lose their jobs. No, you're not. Adopt to the survey technology, the drone technology, and how does the drone technology again feed that information
yeah.
source? So we were very much involved in making sure that the drone and the request you send to the drone also is captured in your data, your database
Right.
format.
Mm,
Yeah. So for us today, it's much easier, because we've done that. We went down that path. We also
mm,
went down the same path in terms of hydro boats, unmanned boats that
mm,
operate on dams for tidings, also to get
mm,
that same information back. And how does the boat and the drone work together to determine what is the area of that tailings facility, where does the boat
mm.
need to operate? Because everything today operates more autonomously. So we've
Yes.
invested heavily in that technology, and it is important, was important for it. We couldn't
Mm,
avoid it.
mm,
And obviously there's more sensors and so forth. So today we are extremely open, and we rely on those sensors and that
mm,
information to come
mm.
through and to feed your source information.
And do you find that there is still a reluctance of the various suppliers of, let's just call them various data sources, to share alike, or is there more of an openness in the way the data is both treated as data but also exchanged and interoperated?
Yeah, definitely, MP. You will remember years ago when we were on the opposite sides of the
Mm,
table. I think those years people were reluctant to share information, definitely, and that has changed quite a bit. Where we are today, I mean, your sensor partners, all your partners, there's a openness. People wants
mm,
to share data more easily, um, and that makes it so much transparent, because then the client actually receives the full picture. He
mm,
realizes
mm,
what information is you can work with, and all the sensors and all the partners in a big way work together to share this information. There's a lot more gateways when it comes to
mm,
IoT sensors, a lot more shareability. So yes, it's changed quite a bit, changed the
mm,
landscape. It makes it definitely easier. So
mm,
much so
mm,
that we had to invest in APIs, so that we
mm,
make sure we can read either from and to our platform. to make it more open for these different vendors. So yeah, we end up working with our competition more because it's better to work with them than against them. And I think in the end of the day, like I mentioned, the clients do benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. It is the client that benefits, and that makes, also it makes you a more customer-centric or client-centric business. It's better for everyone. Speaking of that, can you tell us maybe, is there anyone that you look at out there, maybe a mining customer or a specific industry, that when you look at them, you think these guys, their vision is good. They understand it really well, or maybe someone that some case study that you can highlight.
Yeah, definitely. I think I can definitely think of Kumba, definitely one of the more futuristic mining
Right.
companies, and also that they do the R&D. They do go through the motion to do the R&D, to test different technologies, or maybe they just have a better budget. I do not know, but they do invest in that technology that works for them, and it's been
Right.
great to be part of a team like that, and to see how much they push the technology. I think mining in general has really adopted quite a bit. There's a lot of
That is
automation
so true.
in mining. A lot of happens. So mining has evolved quite a bit. I think other industries can actually learn from mining. Definitely.
This is interesting. This is the second person just this year in the podcast that has mentioned or said exactly what you are saying. We used to say, mining is slow at tech adoption, and we should look towards the automotive industry. We should look towards oil and gas. We should look to, but that's very, very quickly turning around, and mining is becoming a great, even if somewhat skeptical, or I should say realistic adopter of technology, and lots of industries can learn from mines.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with that. There's definitely aspects of other industries you mentioned, like automotive, and other industries, or even medical. There is components of that can definitely benefit. But I think mining as a whole has really stepped forward in terms of innovation.
So with that innovation hat on, take us into the future, 5 years from now, 10 years from now.
Sure.
Over and above the fact that iGlobe is the de facto supplier of spatial data solutions to the world, let's go past the sales. What does the industry really look like? If you had the magic wand, what would you want to see 5 years from now when it comes to the way the data is managed and stored and interacted on?
Well, the obvious disruptor we cannot avoid, that's AI. The AI is unavoidable, and we have also managed to build the AI into the spatial the platform going
Okay.
forward, because that's extremely important. You need to be able to run the AI engines so that your clients can have more information and query the information in different ways that they require, and send it to reports in the formats they want to. So definitely the AI disruptor, you have to adopt to that and use it, and it's growing by the day. I think over and above that, I would really like to see connectivity for especially African clients, having connectivity to the internet. I think that opportunity, we know there's the Starlinks, and I really hope for them, or whoever is in that space, really push the technology, because the more those clients are connected, the better for these solutions to work. And I'm sure there's a whole heap full of clients and kids and university students that can benefit from connectivity. I believe, that connected world will really push the African continent to the tops. And then there's obviously the global market. The global market is connected in a big way. They do have connectivity. For those two, for me, will really make a difference.
It's interesting that you talk about connectivity in the context of spatial data, because from my experience, spatial data is really, I don't want to call it useless, it's not, but it is. It also depends on temporal data.
Yes.
I don't only want to know what's there. I want to know what's there that was not there yesterday, or what was there yesterday that's not there anymore. How has it shifted? How has it changed? So the combination of space and time creates more information as opposed to just data points.
100%. And I think mining as such has also become very real time, very real time.
Exactly.
And because it's so real time, you do need that connectivity because you want to see where the truck went, why is the road slippery, what changed in the weather. So there's a lot of factors that we want connectivity for. And there's, like I said, there's so many sensors that we rely on. If those sensors are off, then we basically our hands is in the air. We need that information, a constant stream of that information. And a real life, any business needs that real life environment to make the decisions and to be connected. Yeah. So
as we stand in the beginning now of 2026, Edward, believe it or not, what are you looking forward to in this year? What does 2026 hold for iGlobe?
Yeah, like I mentioned, definitely Africa, a bigger spread in Africa. There's a lot of needs that needs our attention. And then Australia is sticking its hand up. So that will be a new venture, a new region, as well as South America. So obviously mentioning all the mining countries and
all the mining
countries.
areas.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think I would say one day or one continent at a time, because we can only grow so fast. We do not know what the ultimate future, the 5 and 10 year will hold, but as long as we can do what we have to do today successfully.
So you're definitely looking at regional expansion, if I can put it like that, from a client perspective.
Yes, and it's both, not only just spatial data, also helping the clients with the real issues on the ground, like the tailings facilities, and putting all the hardware into motion, helping the clients with their own environment to make it work for them.
That's an exciting future, and I wish you all the best with that as well. We always end the podcast on a bit of a personal note again. So back to you. When you're not busy thinking out new solutions with Stanley and the rest of your team, then what do you do to keep yourself sane? What's on the menu when it's summer holidays?
Now, I really enjoyed nature, getting out there. I really love running. Obviously, did way too little of running last year, so I'm going to fix it this year. Getting back into your back to running. I really enjoy sport and obviously travel as much as you are allowed if you're not working. But yeah, I really enjoy the outdoors and yeah, getting out there.
Yeah, you're right. It's necessary to remain sane that way. Edward, it was only a pleasure having you on the MineWarp podcast, and all the best for you and the team at iGlobe. I trust that it'll be a very successful year, and thanks for sharing some of your experience and your wisdom with us.
Thank you very much, Empie. I really enjoyed talking to you today, and all of the best for the new year for you as well.